Now that estrogen has left the room, anytime I go into a meeting and I'm the only woman in that conversation and they want to take me on, I go, bring it.
Someone once told me, well, if you were a man, they wouldn't have a problem with that. There are days where I'm very tired and I don't want to put up with that.
Guarantee that you will hate me. I guarantee it.
So Uma made you cry.
Uma made me cry. Then afterwards, instead of apologize or something, she essentially said to me, you need to go to therapy.
It takes one moment.
One moment, this weak moment.
Wipe away everything.
Everything we have done.
Yeah. I tell people, listen, I'm not for everyone. No matter what happens, people are going to judge me anyway.
Yes,
so let's
be who
go.
I am.
I'm Jingjin.
And I'm Uma. You are listening to Founding Voices, conversations that power the Elevate Group, a special podcast series featuring the incredible women who helped bring this community to life.
Each founding member brings a bold voice, a powerful story, and a perspective we all need to hear.
These aren't just interviews. They are raw, real conversations about what matters to them.
From health to leadership to legacy, we go deep. We promise you will walk away with insight, inspiration, and something worth sharing.
Let's dive in. Sunday, welcome. I remember when you were sitting at my dinner table, we had 12 other women, senior women in Singapore sitting around it. And the topic of menopause came up. And I remember you saying something to this effect. It's like, now that estrogen has left the room, anytime I go into a meeting and I'm the only woman in that conversation and they want to take me on, I go, bring it. You want to play? I'm going to play.
Absolutely. And your tolerance.
GTFP, get to the fucking
your
point.
tolerance for just like, the stupidity that is there sometimes either in the workplace or our personal lives is just not there. So, but at the end of the day, it is a transition. And for many of us women, I think we don't talk about it enough.
Yeah. Do you think we evolved to become a man? Where we essentially just don't give a?
Well, to a certain extent, I do think the hormonal changes lends itself to women perhaps becoming braver, more honest. But at the same time, I also think it's a very feminine thing. Now that I'm in menopause, I feel like I can't wait for my crone era, as I call it, where I can be like really, like a grumpy old woman. That's something I'm really looking forward to. But
you get to redefine what's grumpy and old now.
Yes, that's true.
You say that wearing a sexy pink suit.
That's true. I think these days as well, who we are, our age, our gender, our personality, I think it's always, constant as well. And I think that's one thing I learned is to just have fun with myself and not to take myself too seriously. And I think that's also why I love being part of, a community of women who are just, firstly, right, impatient.
Yeah.
And want to take control. But at the same time, we're navigating physical changes, emotional changes, life changes. So how do we do that? I think it's very important to find that safe space.
Yeah, you always say, I always see women, but I never see a relaxed woman. Do you think you are a relaxed woman now?
I think I am relaxed at home a lot. I think at home, in our personal lives, the way we show up also is probably really the traditional nurturing mother, wife, daughter, friend. But at the workplace, I don't think I'm relaxed. Still, I still want to really drive things and drive change. But I do think I'm more patient, strangely, because I just talked about running out of estrogen and running out of patience. But that's the interesting part. I think as you also go through all of these changes, I find myself becoming more empathetic as well. And I think that's a nice balance. Because I am going through these changes and I am very open and honest about it. I tell my team, guys, I'm running out of estrogen. Get
Yeah.
to it, right?
Yeah.
What's the decision?
Yeah.
But at the same time, also because I'm going through a change, I'm also more conscious of other people, women and men that are going through changes.
Yeah.
And I try to like figure out from their perspective, what's the challenge? Where are they coming from? And I think to answer your question, there are some days I'm very relaxed, but there are some days I'm
Yeah. I think like for women, empathy is expected, right? So I think we tend to like send an overdose of it in all situations to
Very true.
everyone. So I think what you are saying is that now you are giving it where it's meant to be given. And right? Versus some situations where no, I'm not
Absolutely.
going to be your mom and be nice.
You really want to invest your empathy and your understanding to really people who deserve that. And I think when I was younger, for sure, I was less discerning, right? I was both like on the who I give the empathy to, but also who I give my frustration and impatience with. So now I'm more thoughtful. I want to ask you guys today, was there someone that you consciously said, yeah, I'm going to be more patient with you, versus others that you were kind of like, talk to the hand, I'm over you?
Yes. Yes. My filter is usually, are you a complexifier or a simplifier? And I think some people are just complexifiers and they don't even know it. And the second filter that I do is your motivation. I can invest in capability, but I'm not going to motivate you. You either have the motivation to do what you need to do and get to wherever you want to get to with, you don't have to be ambitious, but it's the can and will quadrant. So if you are a won't and a can, I'm not going to convince you to be a will and a can.
Absolutely. And I think for me also, I look for that quality. I'm sure you've heard the term high agency.
Yes.
Right. So I think high agency people are really people who get it done, who are persistent and who know how to work around things.
And I think for those who are listening, and if this is a new term, like high agency is when you believe that when you look at a situation that you can do something about it. You understand what is within your control, what's not in your control, and you focus on what's in your control. But you believe that you can do something about it versus like defaulting to a victim mindset. Oh, this is all happening to me, right?
There's always an excuse,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, for those who are listening to you speak now, they're probably wondering, where is this accent from?
Oh, yeah. So I'm originally from the Philippines, and I moved to Singapore in 2001. I'm a banker. And yeah, I think growing up in the Philippines, very different from Singapore, where there's not a lot of structure, and you really develop, I think, what we call high agency, right? You get skills around being flexible, knowing how to navigate ambiguity, which
There's
I think
alternative, right?
which I think has helped me a lot. Yeah.
I actually want to ask you with the patience. I'm stuck in
Yes.
with the question before. When you said, now I'm in menopause, there's no patient anymore, just come to the F point, right?
Yes.
How is that different versus when you were a young parent, for example? And because you as women, we are always in a rush because there are so much things to care, so many mental load and responsibilities that men simply don't have. So now with menopause, you kind of have a permission, I feel, because, okay, the hormone has left the building. What am I going to do? Whereas when you are a parent, okay, I have to pick up my kid at 3, so come to the point. We have to make a decision. It's the essence is the same. So what is different now?
I think, being in menopause and sort of navigating that change, I think for me, I feel like I have become a little bit more in tune with my physical self, right? Obviously, you go through the symptoms. And I think that has helped me, in a way, become a better parent as well. I think if I look back and I was younger and my daughter was younger, she's 14 now. But when she was a baby and a toddler, I think I was a lot more stressed. To your point, and it was a little bit overwhelming. I think motherhood for sure for me has been like an experience that has really fundamentally changed me. And then I think as you grow into your motherhood, parenting, and you figure it out, you make mistakes, and you kind of navigate this thing called raising a human being. While navigating your own transition, right? I think it's been super fun actually. I mean, I'm not sure people use that word.
Yeah.
But I feel like every day I've learned something about myself. And I've had fun with it.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy, but I've learned to laugh at myself.
That's important, not to take things too seriously.
Yes.
I think Warren Buffett said that was one of the most essential life skills, to not take things personally, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
Nothing like a child will humble you. Huh.
bring you down to
She's
earth.
14 now, and oh my God, the burn.
Oh, yeah.
The snark.
When was the last time she reminded you you're just...
Yeah. No, everything is wrong. My hair, my fashion. Yeah. So nothing is cool. Yeah.
Well, one day she's going to watch this and go, oh, maybe mom was cool.
Yeah, maybe. That's what I'm hoping. I did tell her about it.
Usually comes later.
Yes.
Hopefully not too late. You describe your daughter as deeply feeling. Tell us about what that means.
She feels a lot of emotions. And I think for us as parents, we had to learn how to manage our own emotions when we were with her because it doesn't really help. Things escalate.
Yeah.
And later on, when she was a little bit older, she was in primary 3. Through the consultation with her teacher, we actually got her tested for ADHD. And so she was diagnosed with ADHD. And not many people know it perhaps, but a lot of ADHD people actually do have challenges with emotional regulation. I think when we think of ADHD, we think of things like not paying attention or being forgetful. A lot of it is executive functioning, which actually is super manageable, and a lot of ADHD people manage that. But what we learned is that actually it's more the emotional side that's the hardest. So that's something that we have, and I myself have had to adjust to, and in a way, my own patience and empathy is so much better now because I've had her, and she's taught me a lot of these skills that I didn't have before.
Do you have an example?
Yeah. If I was a mom watching, how would I know if I have a deeply feeling child?
Yeah, I mean, I think things like if we wanted her to do something like, okay, it's time to brush her teeth, time to go to bed, but she doesn't want to. Sometimes she feels that telling her to, brush her teeth, get ready for bed is a criticism of her not doing that, right? So, and then she may get emotional about it, upset, and then it will start to escalate. So I think that is kind of one scenario. We still have that.
How would you deal with that, for example?
Yeah, to be honest, some days very well, where we're very patient, or we let her kind of like come to her own schedule, because I think as well a lot of people who have ADHD also struggle to keep to time and to schedule. So I think for her to kind of, we try and encourage her to learn those skills. And that's important. But to be honest, there are days also where I've just come back from work and I'm very tired and I don't want to put up with that. I just like, I mean, my parents told me, you do what I say, right?
Exactly.
So to have a child who won't do what you say, there are moments also that I get frustrated, I lose my temper. And I think those are like actually the more crucial moments.
Yeah. And how do you recover? Because I think as human beings, we can make mistakes all the time, especially in our closest relationships.
Yeah.
And the
Yes.
most important thing is how do you recover
Absolutely.
from it, right? Like what's the worst one that ever happened? And how did you and your husband recover from it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts off with something really small. Like I said, something about being able to go to bed on time, and it escalates, or spending too much time on the iPad, and we have to take the iPad away, and it escalates, and it ends up, slamming the door in the room, and
Yeah.
us also getting impatient and losing our temper. And in that situation, I think neither our daughter or ourselves are in a good mental state. And you're upset and you're going to go to bed upset. So I think what I've learned and what I've tried to do is to actually also say, listen, to kind of like really come up to her and apologize, especially if I feel like I've lost my temper and I was a little bit unfair. To actually say, listen, I'm tired. Mommy is also human.
Yeah.
And today I got impatient and I got frustrated and I also lost my patience with you. So I'm sorry. And to actually have that conversation, that really helps a lot.
Okay.
Because I think it repairs the relationship. And I think it also shows that we are human.
Yeah.
We are parents, but we're also human. And I think if we show I hope that if she learns that you can take accountability for your mistakes and you can apologize, that's always a good skill. And she won't learn that if we don't model it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And emotional regulation, where you talk about,
Yeah.
you kind of label it and say, okay, my child has ADHD.
Yes.
I think emotional regulation is the number one skill. Even we adults, we assume we are analytical, we are rational. I don't think so. If you look at some of the men slamming the table, I mean, me myself, when you said she slammed the door, I was like, okay, in a fight with my kid, I usually slam the door.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because I just can't hold it.
Yeah.
So how do you bridge this patience that you learned, the empathy? You kind of have to be patient to the workplace because obviously that person does not have ADHD or think that he is rational. How do you transfer that skill into the workplace?
So I'll give you a specific example. I have high expectations of myself, which means I have high expectations of everyone around me, particularly my team. And I have been in situations where I have been disappointed, frustrated with a team member, and it's not my intent, but I'm going hard and I'm talking about how disappointed I am or how frustrated I am.
Yeah.
And I had one situation where, this lady who was in my team, she started crying. And I felt terrible, of course, right? Because that's never really your intention.
Yeah.
And so I did what I did with my daughter. I just really immediately stopped.
Yeah.
I owned up to it. I said, I apologize. It was not my intent, but I realized I'm coming across really difficult and it's upsetting you, right? So that's not the intent. And so I think that is really appreciated. I think it doesn't matter, who you are and, what you're doing at work. We just want to be respected. And sometimes we all have different communication styles. So I think my style, which is very direct, it gets things done for sure, but it's not for everyone. And and when that happens, when someone receives it in not a positive way, and I have unintentionally caused someone to be distressed, I always apologize and I always kind of own up to it.
Yeah. I like that you chose the word respected because I think women have to choose between liked or respected as we get more successful. Whereas men, the more successful they get, they are both liked and respected.
Yes. Not in my current bank, but in my previous bank. I once asked my boss, I was part of a global leadership team, and I was the only woman. And I made a joke to say, oh, Dave, am I the token woman? And he said, of course not. Simon is. Right? Because it's like, come on, Sunday, like, who you are, right? So but back to the point, I have been in that situation where I've been labeled difficult. And then someone once told me as well, if you were a man, they wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yes.
So I think for women, this is really tough navigating
And I think
this.
the tougher critics are other women compared to men.
Yes.
Yes. Because they, well, I'll speak for myself. I think I also would look at women that way before. right? So if you're not showing up in the kind, compassionate, empathetic,
Yes.
mom-like,
Peddling.
exhibiting all those
Absolutely.
videos, right? Like caring, soft-spoken.
Yeah.
And so masculine, right? You're over-rotating on the masculine qualities, then I'm going to penalize you for that. And you're not as likable. So if I don't know you personally, I am going to form an impression of you and I won't like you very much.
Yeah, and I think it just makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like a woman who speaks her mind, a woman who is not gonna compromise, her standards of quality, or will tell you something that you may not want to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes people uncomfortable.
I mean, both of you are moms and I am not one. So I think a lot of assumptions was made that I got there quicker. I'm not going to say that I did not. I got there quicker because I had no kids.
Yeah.
I got there quicker because there's always a reason other than
your capability.
Other than you were just
You're just damn
awesome.
good. Exactly.
Have you had that?
Yeah, I think people always make an assumption in terms of what got you.
You must have sacrificed something. Or you were bad at
The
something
poor
else.
kids,
you were
at
a bad
home.
mother, a bad wife, or something.
I think as a woman as well, when you come to that point where you're like, okay, no matter what happens, people are gonna judge me anyway.
Anyways, yeah.
So
might as well
let's
be who I
go.
am. Yeah.
Let's play.
Yeah. Might as well be who you are.
Correct.
Yeah.
I want to talk about just now what you said with the critic the
Yes.
tone you said to your colleague when she started crying. I want to debate this a bit because there are two situations in my life where my boss said something really, I received it as harsh as in I was, and he looked at me, he said, you stop crying now.
Yeah.
You said to me, when you took this role, you want to become the global whatever.
Yeah.
You think this tone is going to shock you when you do the QBR with the CEO, with Jack.
Toughen up.
Toughen up.
Yeah.
You better make up your mind where you want to go. I will never forget that. I think, and then afterwards we had a one-on-one. He said, the reason I said this because I see your potential and you told me you want to get there.
Yeah.
This is the rule in our industry. It will not change in the next 100 years. So what do you want to do? I leave it to you. Okay. So I draw my own conclusion. The second situation that happened to me was with Uma. We had a conversation. Actually, on the call, she said something. I received it. I don't remember. There was no unkindness or something. I started to cry because I felt I was a huge critic. I remember she said, she's going to sing, two of us don't have our shit together. And I was like, how can you say something like this?
So Uma made you cry.
Uma made me cry. And there's nothing
I don't make people do anything.
So then afterwards, instead of apologize or something, she essentially said to me, you need to go to therapy.
Right.
And that was the best thing happened to me. This was 3 years ago almost.
I know. I'm like you, Sunday. I just dish it out.
You dish it out and
It's
made me
brutal.
realize that was me, I have to say. So how do you, two questions on this.
Yeah.
One, in the industry, because you apologize. Not everybody would be like that.
I know. If I saw a woman like that crying, I'd
It's
be
just
like,
that,
you're not going to make
you
it.
have to, you are not going to make it.
Make it.
That's the first. And the second, how do you know whether, because like we still said, it's maybe it's not you. Maybe it's on the receiving side, of course. The person has some, maybe it's not your tone or not your communication style. It's on her.
Sure. No, I think it's a good question. And I have to admit, it's not I've made people cry multiple times. So I can actually say, it's probably me. And one of them, she's really,
people do anything.
Yeah, no, I agree too.
Yes.
I think it's how it's received.
Yes.
And I think sometimes tears are also frustration.
Yes.
In one of
Yes.
these situations, I think the tears were the person was frustrated with themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And I was actually saying things that made them realize something. So I think it's always about how it's received.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think I want to be able to show up in a way that is still inclusive to people, regardless that their personal style may be different from me. And to let them know this is where I'm coming from. Like, this is not the intention, but but I still will not compromise on my standards, for example. Like I still expect this is the quality of the delivery.
Yeah.
And we need to kind of work out what blocks that and kind of take a little bit in a way the emotion out of it, but acknowledge that there is emotion.
Yeah.
Because I also think as women we feel strongly, whether you're on the receiving end or the one kind of giving this feedback.
I like what you say about, but you still hold to your standards. This is what I expect, because I think as female leaders, and if we see so few of us and then we make somebody cry, we tend to lower our standards too.
Yeah.
Just to make sure we are accepted.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, I think in that situation, I apologize for coming across so strongly that it made someone upset, but I will never apologize for my standards. That is not negotiable.
Yes.
And I've had those conversations where I tell people, listen, I'm not for everyone.
I've had this conversation too.
You know, I mean, you want something more relaxed, it's probably not
I tell anyone who's worked for me, I guarantee that you will hate me. I guarantee it.
Yes.
But if you stay with me long enough, I will get you to a place that you cannot imagine you will ever get to.
Absolutely.
And you will come to love me. So the question is, do you want to play the long game or short game? I'm a leader where you play the long game.
I always tell people as well, listen, I'm polishing a diamond and that is naturally difficult and painful to be polished.
Yeah.
But if you want to be a diamond.
I see the diamond in you.
Yeah.
That's why I'm polishing.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. But back to the situation where you kind of were in tears. Did you feel like after that, you were more, like you wouldn't cry again? Did you feel like after that, you feel like you can't cry?
I always feel I can cry. I think it's rather that made me realize why I cried. Like she said, it's not the words she said, has nothing to do with her. It's rather, there's something inside of me that in this situation that triggered that thing. It will trigger in the past. Well, it had triggered in the past, will trigger in the future if I don't work on that. And I think in our relationship, it's same in the leadership. If you want to go far, which we want to embark this journey for the next 10 years, it's
I
good
cannot
for
be
both
your
of us.
therapist, essentially.
Exactly. In that sense.
My indirect comment to that.
Yeah.
It's like, I cannot carry your emotions for you.
Absolutely.
So there's something happening here. You need to go find out what it is.
So I think that is also something that, women, we have to really do that, right? We have to find the time to invest in ourselves.
Oh gosh, there's a whole other topic. Why is it that women don't want to invest in themselves unless it's something they can hold or
like
show?
I don't know. I think it's again, it's a lot of it is cultural, I think. And something that you can hold and buy, like a designer handbag, it's a much easier exercise than actually working on yourself.
That you can show other people.
Yeah. And you can show other people. That's true. That's true. But also, I think a lot of women are perhaps scared to peel the layers. To your point, society conditions you to be the good girl, the sweet girl, the one who accommodates and makes everyone comfortable. If you're accommodating everyone and making everyone comfortable, you have nothing left to put into yourself, to make yourself feel comfortable.
I read it somewhere where they say, women, we learn to love everybody, but we never learn to love ourselves.
Yeah.
That's why, in terms of investing, if you have money, I invest, in let's say in my child's education, in family vacations, if at all, a bag, but now I egoistically invest this only in myself, education or, skill set and so on. It's intangible. People cannot see it. Oh, can I even do that? I think that's maybe the...
That's tough, right? I think, strangely, I kind of, have had a unique childhood, I guess, in a way. As I said, I grew up in the Philippines. The way my parents raised me is they raised me to always put myself first.
Oh, wow.
Great.
That sounds very unusual.
So I realized later in life that actually that's rarer. So my dad used to say, don't be quiet if you're not happy with the food in the restaurant.
Yeah.
You speak your mind and you have a right as a child.
Oh, wow.
Very forward thinking.
To speak your mind. Really, he was just very, he was just that kind of guy.
Yeah.
So he really pushed, my dad particularly really pushed me to think about myself. Both my dad and my mom kind of conditioned me to think that when I walk into a room, I'm the smartest person there. So I was just like really hyped up, I guess, as a child, which is, a thing that I realize is rarer, especially Asian parenting, where Asian parents are more like, you're never good enough. So I think I was lucky.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of the things also that people struggle with is, their childhood and how they were parented. Becoming a parent, you have to actually invest in unpeeling that.
Yeah.
If not for work, I think you have to do that as a parent.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So if I was a woman today listening to this, I am in my 40s. I want to get that next promotion. I'm in a male-dominated environment. I'm a mom and maybe a mom of a special kid. I'm still carrying most of the load at home. And I am an underrepresented minority.
Right.
Take all the boxes.
Yeah.
Like, ding, 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 ding.
What are like top 3 things you would say to her?
I think the first thing I would say is don't separate your personal family life from the workplace. Like whatever skills you're learning on both ends, they can cross over. And actually what you learn as a mother, what you learn as a wife, I think also will kind of help you build those trusted relationships in the workplace, which is really what helps you get to the next, leadership position. I think that's the first thing. Second thing I think I would also say is, again, as I said, just be kind to yourself and don't take yourself too seriously. If you make a mistake, be willing to be vulnerable and own up to it. Because when you're vulnerable, I think that is, again, where people feel they can trust you.
Really?
I think so.
This
That has really worked for me, I think. Okay, not all the time. Sometimes you're really across an asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, those times we can't help it. And I think
choose your audience.
choose your audience. So, but I do think most people are decent human beings. And if you are vulnerable and if you're open and honest, they can't help it.
I think people misunderstand this word, right? Because vulnerability is not pouring your life story out and saying everything, and especially during these times, just, for example, if you are getting a notification for a restructure, right? That is confidential information. You are obviously going to be stressed. You're going to be worried about your people, but vulnerability is not telling them this is about to come until
correct.
Right. Yes. So I think some people vulnerability needs to have boundaries.
Yeah.
And it needs to be contextual in the situation. If you think you made a mistake, show people you're human. Acknowledge it, own it. And I think that, to me, that is hard because that is being vulnerable about making mistakes. The last one would be, I think, as we're talking about the transitions that women make, right? To be really conscious of where you are in your life stage, and to understand how are you gonna respond, right, to all of these changes, stresses in the workplace, right? More and more workplaces are increasingly changing, transforming. Technology is changing how we're going to be working. So I think dealing with all of that and sort of managing a home and a family, it's definitely not easy. So I think really kind of understanding our own personal response.
And be willing to ask for help, I guess.
Absolutely.
I think only the very strong one can ask for help, because they can own up to it. Now, to the example you took, number 2, right? When you said the vulnerability thing, we had combined with the help thing, we had a situation where we had a one-on-one in our team. One of our team member, we know she's a mom, and then in a big meeting, she sent a file out to the client with our cost. base.
Right.
It was because it was on the second sheet.
Oh.
And this was discovered, and she tried to hide it. Maybe the client didn't see it, and I saw it. And I said, we must be super aware now. The negotiation coming out with our biggest client. This is a big glitch. So we sat down together with our VP, and then we find a solution at the end. And then she said she was so relieved, and then she was like, oh my God, I'm dealing with so much now. I'm so sorry for this mistake. And then she suddenly poured all her personal life just out there, had to take it as a challenge and everything. It's actually a high potential, but in the moment where she did this, it was kind of for us, oh, okay. So we don't think we can give her a bigger role or any kind.
Right.
Because we know.
Yeah.
Because she can't handle it. That was the message.
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying on the vulnerable part. Yeah. And in the situation.
Only takes one moment.
One moment, this weak moment.
To wipe away everything.
Everything what you have done.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so cautious with this vulnerability side of the things,
I hear you. And I think the reality is also, and I was having this conversation with someone at my work, is that especially like large corporates and the workplace, things are just also not fair sometimes, right? And we can be doing everything right, and still things will not turn out for us, the way we would have intended it. And I think it also sometimes compounds when we have other, challenges in our personal life. What I have learned though, right, because I'm now, 52, is that a career is long.
Yes, we're gonna live longer.
And sometimes I remember the younger me would, I would beat myself up over stuff that now I just laugh at how serious I took it, because it was at the end of the day like a blip in a long career, and I was talking to someone who just told me, oh, now the 50s are like the best years.
Yes.
So the best years are getting longer and longer as well.
Yeah,
and I think maybe that gives people some perspective, because it's a marathon.
What's the most unexpected lesson you learned from your deeply feeling child that you took into the workplace, like totally unexpected for you?
I think whether you have, a deeply feeling kid or a neurotypical kid, it's the same. Kids will, as part of the growing up, challenge boundaries, right? They would want to challenge their independence. And I think and that's healthy, right? That's natural. So as a parent, one of the hardest things is to actually create boundaries. And one thing, I follow a parenting guru called, her name is Dr. Becky Kennedy. She has a parenting kind of like a framework. And one of the things she says is that boundaries is all about saying what you would do, and the other person has to do nothing or something. But then I have to follow through.
Yeah.
With what I said I would do. So it's so I learned with my daughter, I learned that the boundary is about what I would do. And I take this to work all the time now. I'll be like, okay, if this happens, I will do this.
Yeah.
And I'm very transparent. And then it's up to my colleague to decide what they want. But at least I am clear. If this happens, I will do X.
Yeah.
If that happens, I will do Y.
Yeah.
You choose.
Yeah.
And that's a really great learning, because before I would get frustrated also at work. Why is this person not, realizing that this is not the right thing to do?
Yeah.
Right.
It's so interesting, because I think a lot of women, we say boundary, we misunderstand. It's like we have this not multiple women saying, I told my boss he cannot call me after 9 p.m. But he keeps calling me.
I know.
So we ask back, so do you pick up? Every time I tell him, don't call me after, I cannot take call on 9 p.m. So the action is not to take on the call at 9 p.m.
So a boundary is something you would do, not the other person.
Yeah.
And I think that actually means, people also get frustrated because they think it's the other
else
person.
has to act.
Yeah.
But by doing it that way, you're giving your power to the other person. No, your power is to actually don't answer the phone.
Yes. But also choose your battles carefully.
Yeah.
There are some career limiting moves.
Yeah.
For example, if that one time a month, there's a critical situation and your boss calls you after 9 p.m., you should pick up the phone, right? There are just some career limited,
Caveats,
like,
yeah.
so choose your battles
Yeah.
carefully, right?
True. But I also think that at some point a good relationship with your boss
Yeah.
is, to be honest,
You
something
never
that
have to
you,
guess.
you never have to
Correct.
guess, and you always work on. It's a
Yeah.
very important relationship.
Yeah.
And I think also, again, maybe women don't invest enough thoughtfulness in terms of
Yes.
how I actually need to build that trusted
Yes.
relationship,
Yes.
because it's super important.
Yeah. What are your hacks on building great relationships with your boss?
Yeah, I think having worked for mostly men, right, as well, this is a good hack, because I think one of the things that kind of creates a good relationship is when we share the same core values. Second, I also try and look for the thing that we have in common,
Yeah.
and I make sure I always amplify that.
Yes.
You know, if I'm a hustler and he's a hustler, then I'm
Yeah.
always saying, "Hey, boss, I'm always hustling."
Yes. Yes.
If
you like wine, I'm drinking wine. When are we
right?
going to
Or
have
if
wine
I
together?
also like wine.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
don't fake it though, because they can tell.
Yes. Yes,
But
don't make it up.
But I think there would be, no matter what happens, no matter how different the other person is, there would be at least one thing,
Yes.
and you always kind of amplify.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
helps them build this
Yeah.
connection with you.
Yeah.
We're more
But for you
aligned,
to
yeah.
find out what that is, I think it takes effort,
Effort.
and it takes multiple interactions,
Yes.
right? Especially if it's a new boss, it's someone unknown to you, right? You can't be calling people to do some research. Like, you need a few interactions to kind of land, kind of like, oh,
A lot of listening,
yeah.
which I think you also learn as a parent.
Mm.
I think again, when I look back at the younger me, especially women, I think we like to project a certain image of ourselves when we're young, especially when we're younger, right? And we really want to be seen as
Yeah.
a certain way. When you're in a conversation, then you tend to be thinking about what are you going to say next,
Yes.
right? And you're not
Yeah.
really listening to the other person. So what I found is that as I got older and after becoming a mother, I'm better at listening also. I wasn't so good when I was younger, I think. And when you're a better listener, I think you catch those moments where you're like, oh, okay, you know, that person likes that too. I like that too. And it just helps create that connect.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you put that in women's head, because women often think, okay, doing great work is the utmost important thing, versus, having a great relationship with my boss. So if you switch it on, you will hear things you would usually not hear.
Yeah, you be aware of it.
Yeah, awareness.
Yeah, because it's about then focusing on the other person rather than just focusing on your work or how to present your work.
Yeah.
You're more like, that's the work, but what's next? Or what can I do more, right? So I think listening also helps you pick up things, opportunities,
Yeah.
so that you put your hand up and you kind of like can find interesting things to do, because it's always about finding that next opportunity, that next challenge.
Yeah. So now that you're 52, you are in a great position. Who knows what's next for you? You've learned so much with your kid through marriage. Obviously raised by some outlier parents.
Not the typical Asian parents.
Yeah. How would you define success now?
So I think it's very important to build the impact. I think the most immediate way is through my own company. Standard Chartered is actually a great company to work for. We were just talking about Menopause. It's one of the few companies, I think, who have a really thoughtful program to support women in this transition. So I think I'm very committed to kind of making sure I can create an impact through the work that I do in the bank. But I am being very open. I'll be honest. I'm not a planner. I don't really have a vision of what, let's say, 60 looks like or 65 looks like. I think the most important thing is to meet interesting people, to have these type of conversations. And to continuously learn. And I'm always being humbled by something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for having this conversation with us.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's
No,
been super fun.
Thank you.